or what does it mean from a, I call this as a word cloud. I think you would need to see, you would be familiar with most of these important words that are listed here. You have e-commerce, you have CRM, you have customer service, you've got call center, you've got interactive styles, you've got mobility, social cloud. All these things come into, different aspects of these things are coming together. So, if I just turn back and look at things 5 years back, big data, analytics, interactive, cloud, social, mobility, all these were considered as just pure play buzzwords. But I think the industry has moved to a point where, we have started talking much beyond marketing, right? So 2 years back when I joined this team, when I started leading this team, the important aspect that came into picture at that point was digital marketing. So every time people talked about digital, it was more associated with digital marketing or commerce. But I think as this industry is maturing, what we are seeing here is a set of technologies that are changing people, that's changing customers, industries, companies, products, services. And what we are seeing is that the technologies have matured to an extent that they can help transform the different businesses and help them create a differential business model. Now, this would mean you look at the entire space from two perspectives. One is you look at this entire journey from consumer or customer perspective, and this would mean a set of offerings which are more focused on customers, channels, markets, so that you could effectively provide multi-channel experience to them. You could provide differential interactions to them. You could look at the differential sales and channel distribution options. And on the other side, you have the enterprise side of the world, which is where, to enable the customers, you're talking about things like smart grids, smart water, intelligent pipelines, connected home, connected devices, all those things coming together to ensure that the different aspects of, the business and their operations gets covered in that journey. Let me talk about, what does it mean from an industry perspective. So this graph pretty much gives you a perspective of, on, X quadrant, X axis is talking about IT-enabled business processes, IT-enabled digitized business processes, and the y-axis is talking about, what's the revenue share which the companies or which the different industries are getting. What you're seeing is actually a cluster, right? What you're seeing is actually a cluster, and this is a cluster of different kind of industries, whether you talk about the media industry, whether you talk about entertainment, healthcare, banking, retail, consumer goods, all of them, right? So about 56% of these industries are already making use of the digital cluster or digital services, and what that means is that the digital actually has become pervasive. 56% is a fairly high number. And if I take just banking as an example, in banking today, digital interactions in the banks, specifically in US, is about 56%. Europe is about 40%, and there is an expectation that this growth would be, 2015 growth projections are about 63–64% respectively, right? And this would have a high implication on straight-through processing. It would mean that you would move into paperless processing, less handoffs. Analytics will become, the thing for making any automatic business decisions. There are great examples of that. So, for example, if I talk about a bank like BBVA, you are talking about them using these technologies to reduce the bank account opening time to less than 5 minutes. Talk about Commonwealth CBA, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and they're talking about almost instant bank account opening for standard products, right? So great examples coming in the industry where they are able to leverage the digital technologies effectively to take this journey forward. Let's talk about different examples in the industry. You know, when I was putting this slide together, I was looking at you know, different examples which are touching the lives of all of us. So on one side the consumers, on other side the businesses directly, and on third side I'm looking at some of these businesses, right? So B2B transactions. So I picked up some examples here. First picture would be familiar to you, and this is you know, this is about Tesco, which was doing business about 4 years back. You look at you know, Tesco Home Plus in Korea. I'm sure most of you would have seen this video in YouTube, and if you have not, I think you should see that, because what that depicts is a virtual digital supermarket just outside metros and suburban transport areas, which means people returning back from work, about to catch their trains, are able to see the digital walls on which they are able to see this supermarket depicted. They are taking, you know, making use of the QR codes and just, you know, taking, you know, making effective use of QR code using the mobile app they have, get online onto the store, make purchase of whatever they have to purchase, and ensure that they enter the time, and by the time they reach home, the grocery is delivered to them. Now, this is an example which is almost 2-3 years old, but what you're seeing is, I saw something fairly recent. I was in Delhi some time back, and you know, if some of you who are traveling, you get to Terminal 3 in Delhi Airport. What you would see is, after check-in, once you come to the lobby or the area, you would see a Home Shop 18 wall, digital wall, which is depicting all the products. You could, you know, pretty much make use of the similar QR technology code. You could look at, you know, what orders you want to place, and, you know, while they are promising some of these orders to be delivered to you before you board the flight, but, you know, even in the worst case scenario, you are expecting, you know, these orders to be delivered to you at home. So this is not, you know, we are talking about a you know, space where businesses have matured quite a bit. No longer it is a case of just reading it in the newspaper or reading it, reading ads about it, but this is becoming almost real time, right? I picked up the second example, which is on an enterprise side, and I picked up an example of a digital oil field. You would be familiar with Chevron, you know, and I think big thing in the oil business is about, the entire thing in the oil business is about the flow of oil coming from earth. So how you manage that flow, how you regulate that flow, how you manage the flow through the entire value chain, supply chain, and then take it to a place where these get deposited. I think this is a huge, I would say, operational efficiency problem which they have to manage. And what you see on the screen is, you know, a panel which is monitoring the real-time events of thousands of equipment which are deployed across multiple components, and you are looking at, you know, mechanism by which any kind of fault which is happening in these equipments are picked up by the sensors, are picked up by, you know, real time, and you are able to see these real-time dashboards and are able to take appropriate actions. So that's one thing, right? Looking at fault detection and operational efficiencies. The other side is, you know, in oil business, specifically in the stock exchanges, when the orders are placed, you need to, you know, appropriately ensure that you are pulling out appropriate quantity or barrels of oil, and you know, again, coming out with the dashboards or mechanisms by which you are able to integrate that entire value chain of picking up the orders from the stock exchange, seeing how much of oil needs to be explored from the different fields. That is a different problem by itself, and I'm seeing companies like Chevron, etc., investing heavily so that they can make best use of the technologies here. Third example I picked up is in the healthcare segment, and what you see here is a mechanism by which the physicians are able to track their performance. But more importantly, recently I came across a great example of that. That was of, all of you would be familiar with medical representatives. Medical representatives find it extremely difficult to find doctor's time. They do circle around a doctor's office every 15 days. They want to talk to them about the new drugs that their companies likes of Pfizer, or likes of Cardinal, or of likes of different drug manufacturing companies, Novartis, etc., are able to show it to these doctors. Now, what I'm seeing in innovation in this space is that the medical representative concept has got translated to digital medical representative concept, where the doctors are able to go online, are able to see the prescription, are able to see the manufacturing of drugs, the new drugs that are being released by these pharmaceutical companies. They are able to see the videos of the effectiveness of these drugs. They are able to take the tutorials and are able to make informed decisions about when and how to use these drugs. And they are able to effectively make use of the e-samples which they can order online. So that industry is completely transforming from a human-based intervention to a completely virtual, digital-based interaction. You are looking at some great examples of changes that are taking place in this space. I talked about how the industries are transforming, some examples of that. But I wanted to also give you a flavor of what does it mean to some of the service providers, like you are working for different organizations. I work for Accenture. What does it mean to them? And what I'm seeing is, from an organization perspective, at least in last 1 year, there has been a significant noise in every single organization trying to launch digital as a business or digital as a platform, right? So almost every single organization I think of, whether it's the Indian pure plays or the multinational organizations or the consulting organizations, everyone has opened digital as a service forum for them. Now, the way by which each one has been addressing this problem is very different, right? They are at different levels of maturity. So, for example, if I talk about Accenture, Accenture has launched this as a different platform by itself, integrating people coming from interactive, mobility, analytics, social, all of them into one common unit, where we have a go-to-market organization. We have, an end-to-end integrated consulting, SI, operations, all of them embedded as a part of this much larger organization, which essentially means that we see this as a huge business potential. And we have a CEO in Mike Sutcliffe, who reports to the group CEO, looking at this as a platform and driving the growth through this business. Now, that's one kind of maturity. I'm seeing other maturities, different types of maturities, where some of the other consulting players I have seen have just are treating this purely as a sales organization, and looking at operations being managed the way it has been managed today. So different ways of approaching the same problem, but certainly each one has been taking their own bold steps in recognizing this as a huge opportunity space, and ensuring that you and me get an opportunity to work in this space. Let's talk about the different partners, or let's talk about the different product players in this space. I have seen them also maturing quite a bit, right? So you see the logos on the right side. Adobe, which was a content company organization till about 2-3 years back, is today reincarnated itself and is calling itself as an experience-oriented organization. SAP, known for strong ERP, has transformed purely from a ERP supply chain back office organization to with acquisition of Hybris, is getting into digital commerce space, both B2C, B2B, all of that, right? You're talking about you see Microsoft logo there at the bottom, very important, right? So Microsoft, after acquisition of Nokia devices, was trying to promote its own operating system, but then they realized that with Android being far bigger power to deal with, is with their new CEO structure, is looking at how Nokia can be shipped with Android devices, right? Android operating system. To me, that's a reinvention of the way Microsoft has started looking at this thing. Samsung, Samsung Gear. You would be familiar with Samsung Gear. It tried the Samsung Gear with Android operating system, but again, it is recognizing that that is something that's not going to work, and it's trying to come out or reinvent itself and saying that what kind of an operating system that needs to go in with the right kind of gear that it is projecting to the market. So multiple examples of how each of these partners or players are dealing in this space and adapting to or I would say reinventing themselves, reinventing the business model which they are taking to the market. So organizations, partners, everyone is trying to reinvent. Now the question is, if they are reinventing, obviously it means that you and I need to reinvent. And what does it mean, right? So this